Along with the training, two things that we need to focus on are our openings, which are our mini lessons, and our closings. As far as our mini lessons go, our mini lessons are turning into whole lessons.
Oh, yeah.
And I understand because I know how it is. We can get carried away in a mini lesson. But let's keep in mind that a mini lesson is just that. It is not our full lesson. So let's make sure we are more strategic in how we are planning for our mini lesson. There are a certain key things that we want to see in a mini lesson. Again, you all, I'm sure, already know. But looking at this paper right here, for many lessons, they have keywords like connect and model and active involvement and linking. So, and these are some of the same verbs that when I look over your lesson plans or Dr. Tangi looks over your lesson plans, we want to see activities like this in your opening. We want you to be able to, first of all, once you decide a standard that is going to be taught, you need to model. Within your modeling, you should have read alouds. Read alouds are so important because we need to make sure the kids are able to, and that's where we get that listening part in. Kids need to be able to listen to how we read, the correct way for reading. Okay? We need to be able to give them the opportunity to practice once we model. And then the linking part is, now that we've practiced, let me give you some direction about what you're going to do when you go into your work period. One thing about the mini lesson as well, a lot of teachers were asking, what about my kids who are low? When are they ever going to see on grade level work? Your mini lesson is that opportunity where every single person in your class is exposed to on grade level text. Okay? Even your lowest, you're like, some of them, they don't even know their letters. No. Your mini lesson, everybody needs to be exposed to on grade level text relating to that standard. Once you transition in that work period, that is when you pull those just right texts, or those texts based on their needs. And another thing that was very important that stood out for me too, when you introduce a standard, the standard needs to flow all the way through the lesson. And I know Dr. Tangi and I and the whole leadership team have had debates about this particular question or this particular concern. But he was saying, and this is the way I felt it too, if I introduce a standard, and it's kind of on the back of your paper, you can't hardly see, but this is a 5th grade standard. If I introduce a standard in my mini lesson, I don't go into my work period and start doing something that is totally disconnected from what my standard is. My standard flows throughout that entire lesson until it closes out. That means when I transition to groups, whether it's centers, whether it's independent reading, whether it's guided reading, it should be related to what I open my lesson, my standard that I open my lesson with. Now, in guided reading, we do want to close those gaps. We talk about closing the gaps all the time. So you do want to close those gaps. However, you still need to, and I hate to use the word sneak in, but you still need to input that standard into your guided reading. So yes, you are closing the gaps, but you don't end your guided reading lesson without referring to what you started teaching in your mini lesson. So the standard flows throughout. Your independent reading. That is one thing that I would like to see us do more of. And when I say independent reading, I'm not talking about like Dear Time. Dear Time to me is like for you to read whatever you want to read. Independent reading is more planned. It's more strategic. You're getting books that are related to whatever standard you're teaching. So if you're working with informational standard, you're getting informational books. One thing I suggested to 3rd grade, maybe Tuesday, since it is a planning day, if you all want to get like maybe like the gallon Ziploc bags, Tuesday would be a good day to go down in that other book room, or we even have some in here, but get a book bag for every single student in your class. Now, if they're reading on maybe an A, B, C, up through maybe G, H, you might want to get 4 or 5 books to go in their book bag because they're reading them quick. But if you're talking about a kid who's reading big chapter books, then you only want to get 2, because the goal is you want them to be able to complete something. If you get too many chapter books, they won't complete anything. So I think everybody in your class should have a bag of books. Now, independent reading can be as a whole class, if you want to say, like, after your mini lesson, like maybe 10 minutes where everybody's doing independent reading, or it can be part of a center. Okay, I think probably your best use of time would be to make it part of a center.
Now, would that be different from, I have my reading folders and I grab the books and I put them in their actual reading?
Oh yeah, if they have, they have, whether it's in a Ziploc bag or in their folders, as long as they have their specific Just Right books, and I'm gonna keep calling Just Right books. So those